Chapter 4. Expansion and Extraction, 1870 to 1920. The Hudson's Bay Company had sold its land, but was far from done shaping what came next. The Transcontinental Railway redrew Canada's economy. HBC adapted fast, moving goods, opening depots, and following the steel into new towns. The company had kept over 7 million acres when it sold Rupert's Land, and it now sold that land parcel by parcel, turning property into profit. Trading posts became stores. Fur sheds turned into storefronts. The company followed people, and people were flocking to cities. From dried goods to fine fabrics, HBC's inventory shifted. It was no longer just outfitting trappers. It was outfitting families. The fur trade didn't vanish, but it faded. Remote posts emptied, while head offices moved south. HBC saw opportunity underground and in the forest. Timber, minerals, and provisioning camps became the new sources of revenue. The company planted its corporate flag in Winnipeg, a city at the heart of the prairies and the new Canadian economy. For remote families, the Hudson's Bay catalog became a lifeline, bringing socks, seeds, and stoves to thousands of mailboxes across the West. But every expansion had its cost. Languages faded, landscapes changed, and the fur trade world receded into memory. Even as cities rose, HBC remained the vital link for isolated communities, delivering tools, medicines, and news by canoe, sled, and now even plane. HBC's stores grew larger, brighter, and more urban. No longer just outposts, they became symbols of consumer modernity. From tablecloths to teacups, the Hudson's Bay label moved indoors, into kitchens, bedrooms, and everyday Canadian life. In the north, older patterns persisted. Indigenous trappers still brought furs and still relied on the bay for survival. Wherever the country grew, HBC had already been, shaping it, stocking it, selling it. By 1920, the company was no longer an explorer. It was a corporation, one foot in the past, the other planted firmly in the modern world. From Halifax to Victoria, the Bay became a familiar sight, an institution woven into the daily rhythm of growing towns and cities. Leadership changed, business models evolved, the company diversified, seeking its future in industries far beyond fur. Its workers were shopkeepers and surveyors, pilots and clerks, loyal, adaptable, and part of something far bigger than a paycheck. But the old world was never far. Abandoned posts and fading signboards reminded everyone where the company had begun. In just a few generations, the company had transformed, from rugged canoe brigades to corporate boardrooms, adapting to each new century. The Bay's name spread through catalogs and circulars, a brand as familiar as the maple leaf itself. But relationships changed. Once the primary partners, Indigenous communities now negotiated from the margins, still vital but less visible. The echoes of the company's past still ripple through the land, in roots, rituals, and even real estate. Chapter 5. Reinvention and Retail, 1920 to 1980. As the world changed, so too did the Hudson's Bay Company, from outfitter to retailer, from tradition to transformation. After World War II, Canadian cities boomed. Suburbs grew. Malls sprouted. HBC stores expanded to meet the new shape of life. No longer just a general store, the Bay now competed on fashion. Stylish displays and branded lines pulled it into the modern marketplace. Behind the storefronts, the company diversified. Energy, real estate, and finance joined furs and fabrics on the balance sheet. In the north, modernization arrived slowly. HBC replaced canoes with planes, dogs with diesel, but communities remained reliant on their posts. By Canada's 100th birthday, the Bay had become part of the national fabric, a symbol of commerce and continuity. From metropolis to hamlet, the Bay served vastly different communities, united by the same crest and catalogue. Retail changed fast. HBC kept up, redesigning stores, integrating tech, and pushing to stay relevant in a faster world. People made the Bay work. Clerks became managers. Managers became executives, each trained in the art of service and storekeeping. The Bay no longer stood alone. National chains, discount retailers, and foreign brands crowded the aisles, sparking fierce competition for Canadian shoppers. In cities, the Bay went vertical. Downtown towers anchored flagship stores, drawing in crowds with escalators, windows, and style. But not all growth was equal. In the north, Indigenous partnerships frayed as Southern retail grew, and priorities shifted. Amid all the change, one icon endured: the striped HBC blanket, a legacy of trade, comfort, and quiet power. Behind the counter, the Bay quietly evolved, embracing technology to track sales, manage inventory, and streamline service. By the end of the 20th century, the Bay had remade itself again, still familiar, still ambitious, still evolving. Sales became events. Bay Days drew crowds, built loyalty, and defined a new kind of Canadian shopping ritual. Centuries after trading fur, HBC now sold fashion. The shift was symbolic and intentional. As Canada became more diverse, so did the Bay's customers. Stores in cities like Toronto and Vancouver mirrored the changing face of the nation. From big cities to far-flung posts, the Bay kept reaching outward, delivering goods to places no one else would. By 1980, the Hudson's Bay Company had fully reinvented itself, modern, national, and still deeply rooted in every corner of Canada.